Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and its sixth race weekend of 2023 here in Zolder, Belgium. This is going to be a fantastic, sunny and very hot race weekend, so I really hope you will stay with us Saturday and Sunday. Qualifying number one is about to start very soon, but before diving right into the racing of this race weekend, we have some highlights ready for you from Most, Czech Republic from 2 weeks ago. Check it out. For the first qualifying of this weekend, I'm really would like to take a ride with Frank in this amazing Ford Supermax truck that always is in front of everyone. And here Heinrich Hecker is starting out for the qualifying number one. And I really, come with me, maybe we have a chance to show you the chicane of this racetrack, because it's super tight. And of course on qualifying they will make sure there won't be any accidents happening. But in the race, I tell you, this will be the tightest corner of all. See over there where they're just driving through, this is like the chicane. And it's already super tight for cars, but having a truck which is much bigger. And I know these guys, they're always fighting very tightly. So this is gonna be quite interesting. Today at 1 we're starting out with the first race of this weekend, this afternoon second race, and of course tomorrow there will be another qualifying and 2 more races to come, so I really hope you will enjoy this race weekend. Most already has been quite interesting and quite challenging for some. Adam Lachko has been in, the Czech driver, who made sure that he would stay in front. So here we also have a French driver joining the team who normally is in the French championship. So there's always like one guest starter who might challenge the other guys, and of course Steffi Halm, or a female driver in the team. Come with me, we're going back over there to maybe not stay in front, but also push through. Okay, Chess, I heard you're with me right now. So over to Chess, who will explain the racetrack to you by himself.
Thank you very much, Lena. Yes, hello everybody. Chaz Draycott here, commentating from the UK for another round of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship in 2023. And my wonderful colleagues Joachim Eberts and Fonzie Cebrian will be commentating on the German and Spanish live streams also. We are here ahead of qualifying now, the first live sessions for you guys this weekend. We've got qualifying and Superpole coming up over the course of this broadcast. For qualifying, basically the entire field will go out, try and set as fast a time as possible, and then the top 10 drivers will then go through to Superpole. This is one of the most difficult circuits on our calendar in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's very narrow, very beautiful, but the walls are not far away. And the first couple of corners in particular are very difficult for these trucks to get right. As you go right all the way around turn 3 at the Kanalbocht, it is such a long sweeping corner that drivers have to be really careful with gear changes and kicking the rear end out. The Kleine chicane and the Jackie X-Bocht, the 2 main chicanes on the circuit, will be definite overtaking opportunities, and as well down into what is known as the Villeneuve chicane, just in the top right of your track map there, will certainly be a prime overtaking opportunity too. We also have the final hairpin just before the run down to the last chicane, the Boulderberg Bocht, which is apparently got a longer name these days, the Boulderberg Harschbeld-Bocht. So that's going to certainly keep my tongue twisted over the course of the weekend. But yes, Zolder is always a great staple of this championship's calendar. It has always provided drama in the later stages of the season. So I'm super excited to see what comes this way. We're going to look back, though, at some of the action from Most last weekend, or sorry, 2 weeks ago in the Czech Republic. It was an amazing race weekend. Again, another circuit that always gives us plenty of drama. There was a massive amount of fans out and around the circuit ready to watch the racing, but it was Norbert Kish who led from the very front of race 1, yet again having a solid start to his weekend, trying to extend his championship advantage even further. There was great battles up and down the order, though, in the Promoters' Cup. Mark Taylor getting off to a solid start to his weekend, but as you'll see soon, that was definitely something that was going to change. But Norby took the victory in race 1 with a very solid effort indeed, and certainly looked like he was going to be on for another great weekend, potentially trying to take 4 race victories out of 4 like he did at Slovakia. The start of race 2 was some of the biggest drama of the weekend, though, as unfortunately, as we got up to full speed, there was a bit of contact further down in the order between Andre Kursim, Stefan Faz and Mark Taylor. Mark Taylor's truck being put heavily into the wall on the right-hand side, and the chassis and the actual roll cage itself was twisted, and that would be the end of Mark's weekend. Andre Kursim's very difficult weekend continued as well, with a lot of damage, but the team did a great job to get him back out onto the circuit just in time for the race restart. It was a bit of a chaotic restart as well, as there was a bit of a slow getaway by some of the front runners, and then contact between Lucas and Jochen Hahn into turn 1 threw them down the order after a potential second and third running. Adam Lachko was supreme at the front, though, holding off Steffi Halm, Jamie Anderson, Norbert Kish and Antonio Albacete to take a great home victory. The marshals and the fans all very happy with Adam's performance, and he certainly would be looking to try and repeat it on Sunday. Sunday arrived, and so did the rain, and certainly making conditions difficult for all of our drivers. And it was a really interesting race 1 as everybody tiptoed their way around the circuit after a rather muddled up qualifying. Sasha Lenz was on absolute form as he overtook riders and drivers all the way around the outside on a lot of occasions. It was beautiful, beautiful truck racing to watch in the wet. Unfortunately, Antonio Albacete and Steffi Halm, after a great battle, made contact in the final lap, and that determined their finishing positions, while Norbert Kish stormed ahead in the rain to put on an amazing show and take another win, while Adam Lachko finished in second place. Great racing all around, though, and we are back on your screens for Zolder, and again, another really tricky, twisty circuit that you wouldn't normally attribute with truck racing because of their larger nature. They're not quite as nimble as something like an open-wheeled Formula car or even a GT car. But at the same time, it's great to give these drivers this challenge, and also fantastic to see that, you know, the championship proves to everybody else around the world just how good these drivers are, with the fact that they have to race these amazing machines around such tight and twisty circuits. There is Norbert Kish, your championship leader, coming into this race meeting. He's currently at the top of proceedings with 14 race victories and 16 podiums so far. 266 points to him. There is Jochen Hahn second in the championship at the moment. Jochen is 78 points back at this moment in time. And Norby has opened up quite the substantial race lead. The most points you can get from a race meeting in this championship is 60, from what I know. You can get 30 on each day, so you get 20 from race 1 if you win that, and then 10 from race 2, and then going into Sunday you can get 20 again for race 3, and then 10 again for race 4. You don't get any points for pole position in this championship or for fastest laps. It is simply down to race results. There is also the Promoters' Cup to think about too, who get scored separately to all the other runners and riders. So the drivers in the top category, or the top of that category, are Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Stefan Faz. They're only separated by 14 points now. Lucas Hahn has made his way up into third place in that class, so we'll keep an eye on that as the weekend goes on. 2 race meetings left after this one, so the maximum amount of points would be 120. I don't quite think Norbert Kish could wrap up the championship this weekend, but we'll obviously keep our eyes on those gaps and see exactly what comes of the weekend's racing. Qualifying is now underway, and the first times have been put on the board. Norbert Kish with a 1:57.463. That is only just faster than Antonio Albacete by 40 thousandths of a second, I should say. 2/10 clear of Jochen Hahn. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has gone 4th fastest ahead of Steffi Halm Then Stefan Faas and Andre Kurzim, who I'm sure will go again after that one. We know that Andre can do much better than that. He's had a lot of bad luck recently, though, in the championship as Andre, so he's going to definitely be pushing on even harder this weekend to try and overcome the negative weekend that he had at Most. But Norbert Kish will just slow it down for a lap or so here, and then they will potentially wind the trucks back up again, get them back into a full operating window, let's say, and push on for another fast lap time. Antonio Albacete, I think, was just flying down the straight here to overtake Jochen Hahn. Yes, he's just trying to get a bit more track position and move a bit further up, and then hopefully put in another lap time by the look of it. But Norbert Kish, for the moment, has got the job done, being fastest, with Antonio in second place. But I know that he's going to want more from this, is Norby. He's currently, yes, it is 78 points clear in the championship. So we will update those points as they come. There's a lot of the team members and all of the personnel watching the timing screens in the pit garages there, just to keep an eye on what their drivers are up to. Sometimes they also watch the broadcast on their phones as well, so hello to anybody that's in there watching at the moment and listening in to me. Wonderful conditions here at Zolder, though. It's absolutely glorious. The last couple of times we've been here, it's been not torrential rain, but there's been a massive amount of rain. It's been very, very wet and cold racing. As you see there, number 66, which is Jonathan Andre. Welcome back to the championship, Jonathan. He is racing with us this weekend in the number 66 Lion Truck Racing machine. Although part of me seems to remember that earlier in the season he was number 44, but that's Steffi Halm. Ah, yes, in the French Truck Racing Championship, Jonathan Andre races as number 44, but of course, our very own Steffi Halm has number 44 here, so he changes his number to 66 to race in this championship. Norbert Kish actually coming into the pit lane, interestingly enough, instead of going out and doing another lap, because he's only 42 thousandths of a second ahead of Antonio Albacete, but I think Antonio was on his way in as well. He is, actually. He makes his way into the very narrow and tight pit lane here at Zolder. Just about big enough for our trucks. Looks also like Jochen Hahn has made his way in. Andre Kurzim also coming into the pits. Behind them there is that Stefan Faas that's made his way in. Pretty sure that it is. There's the T-Sport Bernal boys, ready to welcome back in Antonio Albacete in their beautiful number 23 MAN. Antonio still the man with the most podiums of all time in this championship. 288 podium finishes, 109 race wins, according to my numbers anyway. And then we have Jochen Hahn closing in on him with 284. You can see Tim Frost on the left-hand side of the screen there, the team boss, the big dog. He's actually doing a lot of vlog content for their team, so they record a lot of their race weekends for YouTube, and they document how they get on and what the team gets up to between the races as a bit of a behind the scenes. It's always quite entertaining to see when Tim's recording that. He's a great personality, is Tim. I think I even featured in their Nürburgring vlog, but I've not seen that one yet. There's Jamie Anderson in the number 33 machine. Jamie's down in 9th place at the moment, so he's definitely going to want to improve on his lap time there. Eduardo Rodriguez is up in 5th position as well, so he's doing very well in that number 38 machine right there. Fastest in the Promoters' Cup at this moment in time. Keep an eye out for the little letter P next to their driver number on the left-hand side of your screen. That denotes that they are in the Promoters' Cup, which is drivers that haven't quite put in the sort of previous results that would put them in our Titan category. Think of it as Pro and Am. So Titan classification is any driver that's a champion from the last 10 years, or they've finished, I believe it's top 7 in the overall result of the previous championship standings. That's why Jamie Anderson has gone up from the Chrome category into Titan and out of the Promoters' Cup for this season. He's now just in the overall classification. And it also applies to drivers who have qualified in the top 5 in Superpole more than once in the previous season as well. So there's quite an interesting mix with the fact that their results can come from multiple angles of a race weekend. But as you see, the weather is absolutely glorious here at Zolder. It's definitely not like that in the UK this time. I tend to develop this theme over the course of the season where I compare what the weather is like at the circuit to outside my window. And it's very, very foggy here at the moment in the UK. There's Davide Califano just walked past from Goodyear as we look at the number 3 machine of Sascha Lenz. Sascha and his team just focusing on the upcoming Super Pole session. So as I was explaining before, the whole field will go out in this qualifying session now, of which there is 9 minutes remaining, and the top 10 will then go through to Super Pole. They will head out onto the circuit in the order that they finished this session, and then they will get another 10-minute session just to try and set another time. The times are all reset for them though, so they have to go out and put lap times in to obviously do the best that they can. But the top 10 from this session is not guaranteed in starting order. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez coming back into the pits. 5th place is great for him. He'll be really happy with that one. The driver's a little bit out of sync there. Kurzim and Anderson by the look of it. We're going to go back down and speak to Lena, who's going to speak to Andre Kurzim.
No, actually it's Stefan Faas, because he's the guy who told me at the last race weekend that he will stay out of all trouble possible, and I think he was the one being involved in most of the trouble. There were like really nice pictures of the truck like in parts. So what's your plan for this weekend? Obviously you're already done with qualifying number 1.
Ja, jetzt fahren wir erstmal unser Qualifying und natürlich geben wir Gas und probieren alles zu geben und natürlich halten wir uns überall raus.
So he said, of course, he will stay out of trouble this weekend. And for now, he's focusing on Super Pole, of course, as well. And you know that this is a really tight and dangerous racetrack. So do you have any corners that you love a lot?
I love the complete racetrack.
But honestly, you love it?
Yes.
Okay. So, Chaz, so you see all the drivers, they love Zolder. We love to see them race. So good luck to you and see you later. And keep that truck safe. I don't want to see any broken parts. Yeah. Promise. All right. We will see. Okay, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Lena. Yes, apologies there. It's Stefan Faas, not Andre Kurzim. But still, definitely hoping that there is a case of don't touch in the form of Stefan Faas' racing this weekend for the Tank Pool 24 team. As we now look at the times on the left, you can see that most of the drivers, I mean, you can see them on the screen as well, most of them in the pit lane now after putting in the relevant times. Jamie Anderson's still out there circulating as well at the moment. One of the real talking points of this weekend, though, is the fact that we have, well, funnily enough, the man that's just been under investigation there for overspeeding on your screen, Mark Taylor and the team for Taylor's Truck Sport. They had that massive accident at Most, and they've had a lot of help and a lot of hard work going in every single day between then and now to get that truck back racing fit and ready here for Zolder. It's been a massive, massive effort, and the team and a lot of friends and other teams as well have all joined them in working on the truck and getting it fixed, and it is a massive testament to the family atmosphere, the one truck family within the paddock here, that Mark and his team are back out racing again this weekend. It's lovely to see it, and we hope to see that that turns around a good result for them as well. Put short, the roll cage was damaged in the accident, basically. It did its job and it held up to the impact and it kept Mark safe, but obviously it was not safe to then take another hit like that, so they had to withdraw the truck from the race. It wasn't something they could repair there, so they had to go to Germany and fix it in the workshop there. And he's had that time deleted. We're going to go back down to Lena, though, who's going to speak to Sascha Lenz for us.
Yeah, Sascha is the guy who really helped the past 2 weeks to get Mark back on track. He has been fixing his truck, he told me yesterday, and Mark's truck as well. So are you tired now or are you ready to race?
No, I'm ready to race. You know, it was Wednesday in the morning here, we were building the tent up, and then I am relaxed a little bit, so yeah, I am ready to go.
Do you have any plans about maybe like fighting against Mr. Albacete? Because the two of you always have a very special fight about maybe second and third place this season.
You know, Antonio and Jochen, old rabbits in this championship. It's really nice that I can fight with the guys. So, but I hope I win the fight.
Okay, so good luck to you. Keep that truck clean as well and not broken at all. That's like my wish the whole weekend now. And I told you, I'm really, really curious about that chicane. I really hope nothing will happen over there. So Chaz, back to you and fingers crossed for those guys.
Yeah, definitely. These chicanes on this circuit are real pinch points for our drivers. Big, big braking zones. And I reckon that there's going to be a little bit of contact, to say the least, over the course of the weekend into those chicanes. But it's all part of the racing in truck racing. It's certainly a busy, busy place to be. A lot of bodywork on these trucks and a lot of real estate for them to clatter against each other with. As we see Mark Taylor coming down into the second chicane. Making his way out of there. You'll see them kicking the back end out just like that as they come out of the Villeneuve chicane around the Terlemenbocht. Long right-hander before they then sweep down this left kink towards Boulderbergbocht. They emerge from the right-hand side of our shot, dive onto the brakes into this very, very tight hairpin. A little bit of a lock-up there. You can hear the tyres just locking up slightly with Mark Taylor. And we're going to go back down to Lena, who this time has got Antonio Albacete.
That's right. And he's one guy who is super fast, very experienced driver. Chaz already mentioned his wins, 284 or something like that. That's a lot. So I just spoke to Sasha and he's like in competition with you about third and second place in this championship this year. What's your plan for Zolder?
Okay, my plan is to be as fast as I can, you know. Yeah, it will be good if we finish this weekend ahead of Sasha, but I think we are both very fast, you know, so it's going to be tough. But yeah, I mean, I feel good, so I try to do my best. And of course, I will try to make more points than Sacha.
Of course, well, we are very curious about that fight that will be happening this weekend. Do you like Zolder as a racetrack? Are you confident in Belgium?
Yeah, I like. I mean, it's one of those old circuits, you know. So I like Zolder, yeah, for sure.
Right, so I can see his eyes. He's focused on Superpole and he's focused on getting ready to race. So yeah, let's see. Race number 1 this noon, race number 2 this afternoon. So really stay with us because this is going to be a super exciting weekend. Chaz, back to you.
Thanks very much, Lena. Yes, it is going to be an absolute belter of a weekend. It's always good to hear from Antonio Albacete and T-Sport Bernau. Such a lovely squad of guys, and they certainly know this series and especially this circuit like the back of their hands. There is your top 10 on the left-hand side of your screen. So that is Norbert Kish at the very top, and all of the drivers in green are the ones that will make it through now into Superpole. Louis Requenco up there in 10th place at the moment, ahead of Mark Taylor, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, John Newell and Jonathan Andre. And no Lucas Hahn for the rest of the season, obviously, in the Promoters' Cup. I think he said maybe he might do Harama, so we'll have to wait and see whether he makes it for the final race meeting there. It'd be great to have Lucas back once again. He's been a real rising star amongst all of the Chrome drivers in that Promoters' Cup. But Jose Eduardo Rodriguez on real form here at the moment. 5th place outright is a fantastic time. Stefan Fast going well in 8th place as well. So the drivers in the Promoters' Cup certainly making themselves known, aren't they, at this early stage of the weekend. They're really getting the good times in and doing a smashing job. No Adam Lachko either this weekend. He was a one-off appearance for Autodrom Most a few weeks ago, and it was lovely to have Adam back once again and one of those gorgeous Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliners on our grid. Here's another gorgeous truck on the grid as well, Louis Requenco's number 64 machine. This Iveco looks fantastic, even though it's not covered in sponsors, it's not covered in a fancy livery or anything like that. Just the clean nature of it and that beautiful green colour certainly does complement the shape and the style of the Iveco S-Way racing truck. This looks like he's pushing on into the chicane slightly, but I think this may be an in-lap from Louis Requenco. All depends on how they sort of kick the back end out around the next corner. I think he is just taking his time to come back in. He's pretty confident he's made it into the top 10. Mark Taylor, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, John Newell and Jonathan Andre all still out on track. There is Jonathan. You can't really miss that bright yellow Lion truck racing machine. It certainly is eye-catching. The session now hits 0, so every driver that now crosses the line will have completed their session. Checkered flag comes out, and I believe that Louis Requenco is definitely on an in-lap, as we call them, to come into the pit lane. There is the checkered flag, and there is Heinrich Clementecker crossing the line in truck number 25. He will complete the session in 12th position then, by the look of it, 2.675 seconds off the top time. Is there any further improvement? Jonathan Andre has come into the pits. There is Louis Requenco doing the same. Mark Taylor is on a lap at the moment, I believe. And now we are actually going to go back down to Andrei Kurzim, who will have a chat with Lena. I got it right this time, Lena.
Yes, I am with Andrei Kurzim, and in Mostar, where they had so much to do because they had to exchange the engine. There was so much work going on. So right now you look really calm and confident. Is everything fine with the truck this time?
Yes, sir, we have problems with the engine again here, and no, we hope we can fix it for today. And yes, hopefully we can get the best result here.
So I really wish you all the best for this weekend. Go for the Super Pole. We will close this net for now, or just let the mechanic back on track and Chaz back to you. It's getting really loud down here. Excitement, this is what it sounds like. I love these engines.
Yeah, it's a fantastic buzz in a pit lane when all the trucks get started up. They are near 13-litre, 6-cylinder, single-turbocharged engines in these trucks, mainly from the manufacturers of the actual chassis themselves. But I tell you what, the noise is unbelievable. They don't scream really high-pitched like a V12 in a Lamborghini or something, and they don't rumble really low down like a big beefy V8 engine, but they just have such a unique and just obnoxiously loud noise. It is absolutely remarkable. Let's not forget, though, that they are all running very clean as well on 100% renewable HVO diesel. That's why you don't see a massive amount of black smoke, or hopefully any at all, coming out of the side exhausts of these trucks. They have colossal turbochargers on them as well, the size of dinner plates, the turbos, and the boost pipes as well that lead to and from them towards the intercoolers, radiators and all sorts are also just massive. It is ridiculous. They are thicker than the diameter of my arm, for example. It is just massive. Absolutely massive. I run out of words to describe and superlatives for these machines, but they are so unique. They are so cool to see. And again, I urge you, if you ever do get the chance to go and see truck racing, whether it be your national championship or whether you try and make it over to one of our events in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, I implore you to do so. You will absolutely love it. If you enjoy watching our streams and you enjoy just watching the racing from home, just try and witness it in person, because it is such a unique experience. It's not a unique experience for Norbert Kish being at the front, though. He leads the field out onto the circuit as soon as the light goes green. And the order that they now go out onto the circuit in is the order that they just finished the first part of qualifying in. So there is a little bit of weight added to that the drivers at least can try and put in a faster time to get a bit of an earlier position out onto the track and, you know, get a bit of clear air. But sometimes they just take it easy on the opening laps anyway and slow down slightly, and then other drivers will just slot into place and take their position on the circuit wherever they want to be. There you can see a very busy pit lane indeed. It's not a massive pit lane here at Zolder, but it's on a very interesting downhill, so they have to be really careful on the start-finish straight here. In this championship, you are not allowed to exceed 160 kilometers an hour, or 100 miles an hour. Basically, you have a penalty system for overspeeding that will mean that you get time added to the end of your race. It's all tracked by GPS as well. The drivers get a big screen in their dashboard that tells them exactly what speed they're doing, with quite a high refresh rate on it as well, so they find out if they are just eking over. If they do just creep over by a tiny amount, then they are able within a certain time to get back under that, and they will not be penalised for it. But if they go over that 160 kilometers an hour mark for too long, then they will get penalised, and they will get that added on to their race time. But because of that downhill start-finish straight, it's very difficult for drivers not to exceed it here, because it's not set by an electronic limiter or anything in any case. It's managed by the drivers manually. They could very easily exceed 100 miles an hour, these racing trucks. They are phenomenal, with nearly 1,200 horsepower in most cases. But on the downhill, the drivers have to be extra careful not to exceed that speed. So here we go then, Super Pole underway. Norbert Kish on his way out of the pit lane. He will lead out Antonio Albacetti, then Jochen Hahn, and then the number 3 of Sascha Lenz. Then we have Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Steffi Halm was sixth fastest in that session. Jamie Anderson next up. And then we have Stefan Fast in the number 24 tank pool 24 machine. Andrei Kurzim and Louis Rikwenko, the two Iveco drivers, at the back end of the top 10. But still, Rikwenko will be happy to have made it into Superpole. He's only done that a couple of times so far this season. So he'll be using this as a bit more vital and valuable track time to try and get a quicker lap on the board. As mentioned, though, the lap times do reset here. And speaking of resetting, a team that's needed quite the hard reset for this weekend is Taylor's Truck Sport. Taylor himself is down there with Lena.
Mr. Taylor's back on reset. His truck is super fixed. So are you confident, and how does your truck feel like after such a strong impact?
I've been struggling yesterday on free practice. The steering's been way too heavy. I can't get round corners. I've had water hoses come off. But I've only done maybe not even 10 laps under practicing. So it's only this first time I've only done a first session. So to miss out on Superpole is pretty good to say how less laps we've done to learn the track.
All right, and is it for you to be like, okay, let's just do this race no matter what, or are you still counting points and still trying to push as much in the front as possible?
You got to push as much as you can as possible, but at the same time you've got to push and make sure the truck's good as well. So we are having a few more problems than we did think here, but it's starting to work the way out.
This also means you were like fixing the truck together, and then you had no testing, nothing. So this is really your first time back on track with the truck. Yeah,
we didn't get time to test the truck and nothing like that. So when we come here testing yesterday, it's the first time I've been in the truck since Mosque. So that's where all the little problems are coming from, and water pipes coming off, and I can't finish the testing session. So I'm only doing minimum laps.
Right. So you have to do just like pump your arms a little bit more if the steering is too strong right now. You will manage, I'm pretty sure. Good luck to you, and just back to you, the British guys.
Thanks very much, Lena. Thank you very much indeed. Great to hear from Mark Taylor. Lovely to see him back. And like I say, a mammoth effort between him and a bunch of the other teams as well that all really helped out to get that truck back out here. Obviously, a few little gremlins still making their way into the fact that the truck itself not quite as Mark would want it, but this is motorsport, and I'm sure the guys will know what they're doing and overcome that over the course of the weekend. I know there's a lot of British fans of the championship that will have their fingers crossed for Mark and his wonderful squad. Norbert Kish there, almost completely sideways through the Lucien Bianchi box as he goes all the way around to the outside of the circuit using those track limits. On his way down to the Kleiner chicane now, you can see the front of the truck just dives down on the brakes, through the left, through the right, kisses the curb, glances it, and through Sacrament Schelling over the top of the hill, just glides his way down there. Always looks so effortless from Norby's part, doesn't it? The way that he drives this machine, it just seems to move around so well. Part of, well, one of the biggest parts of truck racing is the fact that you've got to manage which corner the weight is hanging over every single moment of a lap. You have to be absolutely on it. And look at the way that it navigates that section there through Villeneuve chicane, through Telemann box. The change of direction in something that weighs 5.3 tons is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Norby certainly looking like he's on it right now. He is currently fastest, although on my screen he's showing at the bottom of the timing screen. I'm not quite sure why. 2 minutes 38.5. I think he crept over the pit lane exit line when directed by the steward at the end of the pit lane. So it sort of figured out that he'd already left the pit lane. Then the timing got reset and set for the session. So I'm not sure if that's had some sort of effect, but he's done a 2:38.525 as his outlap. I'm pretty sure now he's about to pop up to the top of the times, because we know that they can go much quicker than that. And there you go, 1:56.809 for Norbert Kish comes flashing up on my timing screen. And already you can see that he's pretty much backed off after that. You can see a bit of steam coming off the truck. That is nothing wrong. That is basically steam coming off the water-cooled brakes that these trucks run. They have active water jets that spray onto the brakes and cool them down, keep them in a decent temperature window. Jochen Hahn has gone second fastest. Albacete was 10 seconds off there. I feel like he's backed off on that lap, and then he's going to try and wind it up for another go here. Sascha Lenz goes third fastest, so it's trucks 1, 2 and 3, P1, 2 and 3. And look at that, 10 thousandths of a second ahead of Steffi Halm is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in fourth place. Great lap from him, that is. He's done a 157.840. Then we have Stefan Fass going into 6th position, Jamie Anderson 7th, and Andrei Kurzim 8th. Jamie and Andrei just haven't quite found their feet so far this weekend. So I'm hoping for their sake that they continually improve and get quicker and quicker over the course of these 2 days. Louis Riquenco is in 9th place, only just quicker than Albacete, but the two of them, as you'll see, both over 10 seconds off the pace. So they'll certainly know that they can do better than that. But it's Kish from Hahn, Lenz, Eduardo Rodriguez, Halm, Fass, Anderson and Kurzim effectively at the moment. The other two not really putting in valid lap times, let's say. There is Jochen Hahn. I imagine he'll be pretty happy with that second position at the moment. 0.4 of a second off Norby. But he is also a good near 0.4 faster than Sasha Lenz. Here is Antonio Albacete. I said he was probably winding it up for another go. Looks like he's really attacking that chicane this time. Even if this is just a lap of setup to get ready for a fast lap, you may as well attack certain corners rather than coasting around them slowly, because at the end of the day, it's just an extra time round practicing, isn't it? Track time is so vital at a place like Zolder. There's so many hidden little bumps, rises, dips, and bumps on curbs and so on. A lot of elevation change around this track. You have to be prepared for it and ready. That is the hairpin down at Boulderberg Bocht. Sascha Lenz making his way through. Then Jochen Hahn, then Steffi Halm following on, then Stefan Fass. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. But here comes Antonio Albacete into the final chicane, into the Jackie X-Bocht. Powers out down the start-finish straight. And he will cross the line to start another fast lap now and push on. 2.5 minutes left to go, and I think that Norby and Sasha are both lining up for another lap as well. Everybody just giving it one more shot. They've got quite a gap until the first race of the day as well, actually. So they certainly know that they can push on a little bit more here. The first race will come just after 12:30 UK time today. Our show will start just after 1:30 local time to Zolder as well. So we do definitely have quite the while, a couple of hours at least, which is not something we often get in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's usually, because of the fact we have so many sessions over the course of a day, it's usually a very, very packed day for all the drivers. But sometimes we get a little bit lucky in the fact that we're sharing the track and the entire venue with a bunch of other championships this weekend, so it can sometimes spread out our schedule a little bit, and I think sometimes the teams and the drivers are quite thankful for that. Here's Antonio Albacete. He was second fastest earlier on, just behind his teammate for this season, Norbert Kish. You can see he's pushing on very hard now to try and overcome the previous failed attempt, let's say. There's Jamie Anderson and Andrei Kurzim, the two drivers I mentioned before that will definitely be wanting to improve on the times that they set. I was just having a quick look as well, actually, at the team's championship at the moment. And as it stands right now, it's Revation T-Sport, which is T-Sport Benau's Antonio Albacete and Norbert Kish on 448 points. They are 117 clear of the Bullen von Iveco, which is Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm. Here comes Antonio, though, round the final corner. He's still got 45 seconds on the clock, so if he wants to do 2 laps in succession, he definitely can. It's not like the truck isn't capable of it, but he has to really wind it up. What is the time? He moves up to 6th position with a 157.978. Norbert Kish goes to the line, 156.809 to beat, and he's done a 156.688. Just opens up that advantage slightly. Sasha Lenz improves on his time as well, does he? No, actually, just about 1/10 of a second off. And then Jochen Hahn crosses the line. He also did not improve. He was 0.6 off his best as he crossed the line that time round. Steffi Halm was 0.4 off her best as well. Albacete, the only one that's moved up so far on this second run of laps. As the checkered flag comes out, the session hits 0. Andrei Kurzim improves and goes up into 7th spot with a 158.206. And Louis Riquenco puts in a better time. He does a 2 minutes .414, so no improvement in terms of position there for Requenco. We're going to go and speak to a driver that's joining us again for this round of the championship, who we've not seen in the series for a little while. It's Jonathan Andre, and he's with Lena.
Yes, Jonathan is the French guest starter for this weekend. Normally he is participating in the French championship, so we are very happy to have you. And I guess for you it's also exciting to be like in the field of the European Championship.
Yeah, sure, it's a pleasure to be here. This year my goal is the French Championship. I want to be between 3rd position and 5th position in the end, but it's my first complete season and I need to learn. That's why we come here to have more time on track and to learn how to progress.
So are you more nervous about racing with these super experienced drivers, or are you super cool about it?
No, I'm very quiet. I try to do my best to improve. In qualification, it's first time I am so fast. I am so close of the field. Unfortunately, they cancelled one of my lap due to a marker. Jamie Anderson was on the line. I think he don't see me in the mirror, and when I try to overtake, I touch a marker and lap cancel. But anyway, it will not change my weekend. I'm happy from the lap times we did. The truck is really faster than last year, and I continue to progress.
Okay, so we'll be watching out for you, number 66 in the race check. I think you have to go to get checked scrutineering, so I'll let you go. Yeah, Chess, this is really going to be a good weekend. I know it. It's in my guts. I can feel it.
Yeah, there's such a positive vibe surrounding the entire circuit in the paddock this morning, isn't there? Everyone seems in decent spirits, even if the race weekend isn't going perfectly for them at the moment. Mark Taylor obviously explaining that the truck wasn't quite as he wanted it earlier on based on the repairs they've done, but still, really, really interesting to hear from Jonathan Andre there. He seems really enthusiastic as well. It's nice to see that he's already picking up the positives of the truck being faster than it was last year. The truck that's faster than everybody else at the moment, though, was the one that's just gone through shot there. Norbert Kish is number 1 MAN of Revace Racing. He takes another pole position this season. That is going to be pole position number 11, I believe, for Norbert Kish. And Jochen Hahn finishes the session in 2nd place with a 157.222. And then 3rd place, Sasha Lenz with a 157.558. Sasha just on your screen there, making his way down the pit lane. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, though, what a fantastic lap that was from him. He improves right at the end with a 157.695, and he goes up into 4th position ahead of Steffi Halm. Great stuff from Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Really impressive, that is, from the young man. He's always been quick round circuits like this, though, here at Zolder. So in his first full season in the championship, he is making waves. He's currently fastest and top of the Promoters Cup, which is for the Chrome-rated drivers. And he's quite a while ahead of his main rival in that championship as well, Stefan Faas, in Truck 24. Stefan qualifying 8th in that one, with Louis Requenco in 10th position. 3 Chrome drivers in the top 10 once again. But in the Titan category, we have, of course, our full complement of 7 drivers taking 7 of the top 10 spots. This is another interesting part of the weekend here. Because of the size of the pit lane and the garages, some of the trucks make their way through to the back of the paddock from the end of the pit lane like this. Some of them go through the end of the pit lane and round to the back side of the paddock. It's rather interesting to see how it works like that. They are directed manually, as you see, by the marshal at the end there. Fantastic coordination between officials and drivers. Thanks again to all the marshals and officials and everyone behind the scenes that makes the championship tick and means that we can go racing as we do and keep everything on time and keep it safe for our drivers and personnel. At the end of the day, without the fantastic people that form the backbone of this championship and the people that help the race meeting from the circuit's perspective, we would not be able to do what we do. There you see a bunch of the drivers just making their way down the end of the pit lane now. They will circle around just the first couple of corners and then they enter the paddock just from the back end before the Kleiner chicane. So there they go, making their way around turn 2, around the outside of the Sterrenwachtbocht. And then just at the top of your shot there, they'll be making their way in towards the paddock from the Kleine chicane. Norbert Kish fastest once again then with a 1:56.688. He is over half a second clear of Jochen Hahn, with Sascha Lenz taking third spot. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has his best result of the season in qualifying in 4th place. I'm really excited to see what he can do from there. Steffi Halm is 5th with Antonio Albacete down there in 6th place. He won't be too chuffed with that one after being 2nd in the first part of qualifying, with Andre Kursim and his countryman Stefan Faas lining up on row 4. Then it's Jamie Anderson down in 9th. He'll be hoping to improve from there in the races. It's just not looked like he's quite got onto his feet yet in these opening sessions. And Louis Requenco completes the top 10. We then have Mark Taylor in 11th place, Heinrich Clemens Hecker in 12th position. 13th was John Newell, and Jonathan Andre will complete the field in 14th position, just behind them. But he had his lap time deleted, so it does not show on the board. But as you see, the sun is out. It's very hot and very muggy at Zolder right now. I'm happy to say that the sun is coming out here in the UK as well. The early fog has burned up by the look of it. So it's going to be another very hot day here in both accounts, to be honest. But you can see from that shot there down at turn 1, and look at the angle of the garages, the red, white and blue garages on the left-hand side, just how steep that downhill run is towards turn 1. The drivers have to be so careful not to overdo it and obviously go piling past that 100 miles an hour limit in this championship. And you can also hear the beeping, the warning beeps on the trucks. They all have to be armed with those beeps for when they reverse, just like the trucks that you'll see out in the industry, let's say. They're a lovely close-up view of Steffi Halm's machine, the number 44 Iveco S, where you can see the size of the engines on these trucks with the massive water tanks underneath as well, the HVO branded 5th wheel. There is Stefan Faas, and there is the number 1 machine of Norbert Kish, and Steffi herself after completing a solid qualifying session there in 5th position. You can see Csaba Bacco and the rest of the Revace Racing team there, and Norby, double thumbs up from Norby, he's happy after that one. Another pole position to add to his tally, and there is Stefan Faas's machine as well. So it seems like the theme of the trucks that got brought back here are the ones that have to go through scrutineering. A handshake there from Norby to Steffi. And he goes over to speak to Csaba and the rest of the team. Give them a quick debrief on how the session went. We're going to go back down to Lena though, and I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will speak to you all later on when we come back for race 1 this afternoon.
Back down to the fan village. If you get a chance to come to one of the truck races, we still have a whole weekend waiting in France and one in Spain. So just check out the schedule on the homepage and just make a big cross, because this is going to be fun. So you get to see a lot of trucks always. All the fans are here. And if you happen to have a truck, you always can buy some stuff as well. So much merchandise over here, even for the trucks. So this has been an amazing qualifying number 1. Race number 1 to come at 1:35. So stay with us and see you in a second. Thank you for watching.